While Disney is known for its romances, you can't deny that the friendships are just as memorable and wholesome. Well, most of the time. Even the best of friendships can sometimes have their moments where conflict arises. But the ones that are rock solid can usually withstand anything. But which Disney friendships fall under that rock solid category and which have a long way to go? Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and this is Disney Friendships, Healthy to Healthiest. Normally, we'd rank these relationships from healthy to toxic. However, since there aren't really any truly toxic friendships in the Disney canon, we're instead gonna start with the friendships that had the most conflict and had to go through the most development, before working our way up to the wholesome and the most well-balanced. The least healthy friendship goes to Ralph and Vanellope. Yeah, we're talking about this one again, but we promise we'll make it brief. As, if you've seen our Disney Princess Relationships video, you already know the gist of them and the problems that they have. In Ralph Breaks the Internet, they struggle to properly communicate their concerns as well as their feelings. Ralph naturally doesn't want to lose his closest friend and ends up becoming extremely protective and more than a little clingy.
Without me? What if you get lost? You're just a kid.
It gets to the point where he actually tries to sabotage Slaughter Race in the hopes of making Vanellope dislike it enough to leave, instead of, talking about his actual concerns. Vanellope, while not nearly as bad as Ralph, could still work on her communication skills. While it's good that she doesn't dwell too much on their disagreements, she also seems to dismiss Ralph's obvious worries and struggles to tell him the truth when it comes to her desire to game hop in the Slaughter Race. Both characters had room for improvement, and thankfully by the end, they've come to enough of an understanding that they're able to have a healthy long-distance friendship. If it weren't for the sequel, they probably would have been near the top, as their dynamic is very fun. They care about each other, and most of the squabbles they have come off as more sibling-like than anything serious. But one friendship had to be ranked last. And given that their unhealthy aspects caused the conflict of an entire film, we couldn't think of a pair that fit this spot better. Next is a friendship from the mid-2000s era of Disney, Cusco and Pacha. Of course, we had to include the characters that came from one of Disney's first buddy comedy movies. To say that they started off on the wrong foot would have been an understatement. While Pacha was nice enough to Cusco without even really needing to think about it, Cusco had very little, if any, respect for the peasant. He even tricks Pacha at one point when they cross the bridge, not caring if Pacha could potentially be hurt.
No, I don't think I will.
Obviously, much of the flaws of this friendship came from Cusco's side, though that's not to say that Pacha didn't have moments where he let his frustrations get the better of him. Still, for the most part, Pacha is patient and continues to show Cusco kindness, which is what ultimately allows the Emperor-turned-Llama to let some of his walls down and actually care about another person. The point where he's not only saving Pacha's life, but sacrificing something he needs in order to save Pacha. Really, you could argue that Pacha is less of a friend and more of a surrogate father figure, considering Cusco is only 18. Eesh, no wonder the guy was so willing to give Cusco a million second chances. In the end, Cusco learns to be a better person because of Pacha, and they end up forming a genuine bond that lasts even after they no longer need to rely on each other. They say the best relationships are the ones where both want to be better, and Cusco and Pacha are a pretty good, if a bit one-sided, example of that. Next, we have Mulan and Mushu. This friendship earns a low ranking because of its sequel. While we give Mushu some credit for at least trying to make up for his mistakes, him trying to break up Mulan and Shang for the sake of his status as a guardian is still very messed up. But even before Mulan 2, Mushu wasn't exactly the most selfless friend. He only went after Mulan to get his pedestal back. And even while trying to help her, he wasn't the best listener and could sometimes even be a little snarkier than necessary. Over time, Mushu became a confidant for Mulan, someone to encourage her and give her support.
You always got me, the old team. Right?
Mulan might not have been very impressed with her lizard or dragon guardian at first, but she was able to trust him, and they even became comfortable enough sharing their deepest fears and feelings with each other. Watching them work together to stop the Huns was definitely one of the film's highlights, and while they still have their issues, the good ultimately outweighs the bad with this friendship. Next is the friendship between Lumiere and Cogsworth. Both are servants of the beast, with Cogsworth being the more organized one that tries to keep things in order, while Lumiere is a people person and often acts as a fantastic host.
He's not whole without a soul to wait upon.
With how much their personalities differ, it isn't too surprising when they bicker. Their squabbles even turn violent occasionally, although thankfully it comes off more as brotherly than anything else. Like brothers, while they may not always get along, they do have each other's back. This is seen when Cogsworth saves Lumiere during the castle invasion. They may not be the closest friendship on here, but we still felt that they deserved a decent spot. From The Fox and the Hound, we have Todd and Copper, the bittersweet story of two would-be enemies becoming brief childhood friends. It's a story that classic Disney fans know all too well. While their friendship is innocent and sweet, it feels fairly shallow, given how it only lasts a season at most. Once Todd and Copper are both grown, it takes a bit for these old feelings of friendship to return in a significant way.
Todd, those days are over.
Sure, Copper saves Todd, but only a couple scenes later, he's blaming Todd for Chief getting hurt and vowing vengeance. Despite this, Todd still tries to protect Copper, and Copper returns the favor in the end. While this story is a classic for a reason, we really couldn't put it much higher since they spend about the same amount of time being enemies as they do being friends. Though we will give Todd some credit for always believing that he and Copper could one day be friends again. Next, we have Tarzan and Turk. Being both childhood friends and cousins, they have always had some sort of relationship. Although Turk may not have always wanted Tarzan hanging around her as a kid, she never wanted to hurt him or put him in danger, being clearly worried when he tried to get an elephant's hair for her. Tarzan, in turn, saw Turk as not only a playmate, but someone he could rely on. This dynamic didn't change much as they grew up, the two still often wrestling with each other and hanging out as close friends. Things do turn a bit sour when Tarzan pushes Turk to help him with the distraction plan, something she is very much not happy about.
Can you believe that guy?
Then, when Tarzan leaves the jungle, he does so without giving a proper goodbye, leaving Turk hurt and angry to the point where she nearly just lets him go. It makes Tantor pushing Turk to action when it seems like Tarzan could be in trouble. While it isn't great that Turk was willing to ignore Tarzan's cry for help, this is really the only moment in the climax where her support falters. Turk cares about Tarzan, even if she sometimes tries to hide it, and Tarzan cares about her. Remember, he was willing to confess and put the blame for the elephant stampede entirely on himself as a child, not wanting Turk to get in trouble. In terms of Disney hero sidekick pairs, they're probably two of the better ones. Next, we have Quasimodo and the Gargoyles. It isn't easy living in a tower all by yourself, so it's a good thing that Quasi has some friends to not only keep him company, but also encourage him to live his life to its fullest.
Thanks for the encouragement.
The Gargoyles care deeply about Quasi, and even when they make mistakes, everything they do is clearly done with the best of intentions. This includes a certain infamous musical number that may or may not have completely ruined the Gargoyles for some fans. Yeah, it can be a bit hard to enjoy a guy like you when you know that it's just setting Quasi up for disappointment. But it's not as though the Gargoyles knew that was going to happen. They were genuinely trying to help, even if it ended up being unintentionally harmful. Additionally, we feel like the Gargoyles fully make up for this mistake, first by encouraging Quasi to be stronger than stone, and then by helping him fight off Frollo and his men. They aren't that bad. In fact, we'd say they're some of the best friends a guy like Quasi could have. Now we have Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. Yeah, we know that some fans see a romance, but since we only see them portrayed as friends in the film, we felt that it was only right to include two of Zootopia's finest. Like with a few Disney pairs, their relationship is initiated by conflict.
I think your $10 worth of popsicles can wait.
Simply put, Nick is kind of a jerk when he first meets Judy, first by tricking her, and then by being incredibly condescending towards her. Judy, however, is just as clever as Nick and isn't afraid to fight back, something that earns her Nick's respect. Eventually, he does admittedly try to sabotage Judy a couple more times, but the two do become friends much faster than a pair like Cusco and Pacha do. They save each other's lives and help each other. They're encouraging and they care. Even after Judy's unintentional betrayal, she does all she can to make things right, and Nick, thankfully, doesn't hold much of a grudge. This is another friendship where just being friends with each other not only improves both characters, but improves their lives as a whole, which is why we felt they deserve a pretty high spot. Next is the Little Mermaids, Ariel and Flounder. While Sebastian may have been the one to help Ariel on land, Flounder still played an important role in Ariel's life. For as scared as he might have been of sharks and sunken ships, Flounder was always by Ariel's side, never trailing too far behind. While Ariel may have teased Flounder a bit, calling him a guppy for being so nervous, Ariel still looked out for Flounder, protecting him and helping him out during their big escape at the start of the movie. Of the two of them, Flounder definitely seems to be the most supportive as we see him comforting Ariel prior to her part of your world number. He later retrieves Eric's statue for her, knowing how much she already likes him and wanting to give her a special gift. Even when he's stuck on the sidelines for most of the film's second act, being stuck in the water doesn't stop Flounder from keeping an eye on his best friend. He even helps Ariel get to Eric and Vanessa, Ursula's wedding boat. While this may make their friendship come off as a bit one-sided, we still feel like Ariel cares a ton about Flounder, even giving him a proper goodbye at her wedding, showing that she never forgot about him, even while trying to achieve her dream. There are plenty of Disney princesses with animal sidekicks, but Ariel seems to have the closest relationship with hers, probably because Flounder can actually talk.
Yeah, sure, it's great. Now let's get out of here.
Either way, we still think it's sweet. Next, we have Basil of Baker Street and Dr. David Q. Dawson from The Great Mouse Detective. While it would be easy to dismiss them as just your standard Sherlock Holmes spoof, they end up becoming much more than that. While Dawson might not always understand Basil's thought process and can sometimes have a hard time following him, he does ultimately believe in him, to the point where he helps Basil snap out of his funk when Ratigan traps them, saving his life. Basil, in return, is also a pretty great friend. While he can sometimes be frustrated or a bit annoyed with Dawson's mistakes, he never looks down on the guy or sees him as truly incompetent. After Olivia is kidnapped and Basil loses his temper, he immediately regrets it and corrects himself, comforting Dawson and telling him that they'll get Olivia back.
We'll get her back.
When it comes to crime solving and rescuing, they make an excellent team, having an obvious trust in each other. After all, Basil makes Dawson his partner at the end of the film, showing just how strongly he's come to care for his fellow mouse. It's funny how this silly talking mice cartoon can have one of the healthiest portrayals of the Holmes and Watson dynamic, but the proof is clearly there and we just have to agree with it. Next is a well-known friendship in Aladdin and Genie. Although there's originally a bit of a power balance issue in play, what with Aladdin being Genie's master and all, that dynamic isn't really taken advantage of. Outside a couple of small instances, Aladdin seems to see Genie as a friend and equal, which in turn allows Genie to truly bond with him and even open up to him. This is seen in how Genie goes above and beyond to help Aladdin, not sticking to just what he wished for. Genie's even willing to bend the rules a bit for Aladdin, who's very grateful. When they have their falling out, we see that Aladdin instantly regrets breaking his promise to Genie, and by the end, he doesn't even hesitate to set things right.
Genie, you're free.
In that sense, no wonder Genie kept coming back, even when Aladdin was no longer his master, still choosing to help him in both sequels. Overall, they work well together, and while Aladdin may sometimes be stubborn when it comes to Genie's advice and actually listen to it, their dynamic is still far from unhealthy. As such, it earns a spot just outside our top 3. Our bronze medal of healthiness is going to our other titular relationship, Lilo and Stitch. Man, who doesn't love this friendship? For the most part, it's absolutely adorable. Although both are strange in their own way, they're able to accept and appreciate each other's weirdness. Through Lilo, Stitch learns to be kinder and not nearly as mischievous or destructive. She helps him become a better person, teaching him the true meaning of Ohana. As for Stitch, while he can be pretty wild and can cause trouble for Lilo and Nani, he does genuinely care about Lilo and becomes extremely protective of her. What speaks to the power of their friendship is how well they work together as a team, as we see throughout not only the movies, but Lilo and Stitch the series as well. Their friendship isn't perfect. In fact, they have a pretty big fight in the movie, Stitch Has a Glitch. But even in that movie, showed that no matter the odds and no matter the conflict, they'll still do whatever they can for each other, with the bond they have being even stronger than science, apparently. For our silver medal of healthiness, we're gonna give it to Timon and Pumbaa. On the surface, you may think they would be similar to a pair like Mulan and Cogsworth. Their personalities are opposite from each other, with Timon being a bit of a cynic and a wise guy, while Pumbaa is much softer, friendlier, and more naive. But instead of these differences leading to constant bickering, they complement each other well. They may disagree at times, but these mild arguments don't amount to much. Even when they briefly break up before the climax of Lion King 1.5, it takes Timon less than a day to realize his mistake. leading him to reuniting with Pumbaa and playing his part in the final battle against the hyenas. While Timon may not be the best listener, he still protects Pumbaa when he needs him to, and Pumbaa, in return, will encourage Timon to do the right thing. Whether they're supporting each other, having fun, or bonding over bugs, it's really no wonder that these Hakuna Matata bros are seen as friendship goals for so many people. And finally, our gold medal of healthiness is going to Tiana and Charlotte. While the relationship of Tiana and Naveen may be the main relationship of the Princess and the Frog, the friendship between Tiana and Charlotte plays an important role as well. From when they were little girls to when they're both adults, trying to go after their dreams, they are as close as any friends can be. While they have very different perspectives on things like life and romance, neither one looks down on the other for their perspective. Tiana may see wishing on a star as silly, but she still comforts Lottie when Lottie thinks that she's been stood up. Lottie is also shown to be the only one of Tiana's friends who doesn't berate her for working too much, and instead supports her and her dream however she can. Not even being distracted by her Prince Charming stops Charlotte from being a good friend, as we see her help Tiana get a new dress after hers is ruined at the party. But of course, the biggest act of friendship shown between them is when Charlotte gives up being with Naveen so that Tiana can be with him, not only because she recognizes true love, but because she just wants her best friend to be happy.
I'll kiss him. For you, honey.
Unlike the other friendships on this list, with these two, we never see any arguments or moments of friction. They not only respect each other, but they also have a ton of love and affection for each other, cheering each other on and always being supportive. For all these reasons, we consider Tiana and Charlotte to be the gold standard when it comes to Disney friendships. Alright guys, that's it. Let us know in the comment section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge more of our videos, but most importantly, stay wicked.